gripping! I know! You just started! We're not done!
What's up, everybody? It's Mike at LT1 Supra. Figured I'd give you guys an update. Got the new regulator in. It's a Aeromotive 1000, I think it's called A1000. Anyway, this is it right here. This is the old hollow unit that I was using. As you can tell, this thing is pretty tiny. This was like a $65, $70 regulator that I got a long time ago when the car was first put together and I needed to regulate the fuel rails from the big pump that I had. It was like a 340 and the stock regulator wasn't cutting it. So that was a cheap alternative that I had done. Worked great. I think now that the fuel system has stepped up quite a bit, I think that may or may not be my problem with the fuel pressure dropping, but it is definitely something that needs to go. So I think this is going to be a really good alternative. This was 170 bucks, I think it was. But it's dash 6. So one of the things that one of the reasons I'm replacing this, and this may or may not be accurate, but it's the information that I was reading online. This regulator here, when you look it up, it says that it has one inlet, one outlet, and one return. The way I had it set up on the car is I had both fuel rails feeding the side ports, so inlets, and then the return back to the tank here. I don't know if the regulator is capable of doing that or not. I'm not sure. That's why it's something that's questionable, and one of the reasons why I'm getting rid of it. This regulator here specifically says on the information for the regulator specifically says 2 inputs and 1 return, versus this one says 1 input, 1 output, 1 return. So whether the regulator ends up being my problem or not, this definitely was an issue in my opinion. So hopefully this will solve it, but if not, I'm going to be looking into battery voltage. But that's where I'm at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this thing set up, get it mounted on the firewall, and get the fuel lines back on it, and go from there. Just wanted to give you guys an update. I'll check back with you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, got the new regulator on. Fits pretty good. Still gotta finish bolting it down, but I did take it for a quick test drive. Fuel pressure is still doing the same thing. It does seem a little bit better, like it's maintaining a little bit better, but looking at the logs, it's basically showing me exactly what I saw yesterday. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but basically, let's see, the blue line right there is the fuel pressure. The bright red line is the throttle TPS. So you can see I went wide open throttle, so it's 100% there. Gear change, 100%, gear change, 100%, right? The light green line right here is RPM. You can see I put it on a 2-step right here. It's just steady. That was at 4,000 RPM. And as soon as I let off the 2-step, RPM obviously shoots up. The light green line right there, that is battery voltage. So you can see basically as soon as RPMs got up, I think it's right at 4,800, give or take. As soon as it hits that RPM, battery voltage drops, fuel pressure drops. You can see battery voltage, the RPM stays up pretty high because, the gear changes are pretty quick and it doesn't drop that much. But you can see that in between the gear change, fuel pressure goes up a little bit, obviously, because the engine is not consuming the fuel. So fuel pressure goes up and then drops back down because the battery voltage is still down. It's having a hard time keeping up. So I'm gonna be looking at a few things. I'm pretty sure it's an issue with battery voltage. When it's like 13 up over here, it's like 13.4, and that's with everything on. I mean, fuel pump, the electric water pump, the fans, the headlights, everything basically that the car has got, because that's driving at nighttime. And then when it drops down to right at 12 volts even, and just kind of levels off there. Kind of sometimes it'll hit like 11.9, 12.1, but right around 12 volts. So I think it's pretty evident that if I get better battery voltage to the pump, my fuel pressure is going to have a lot easier time staying where I want it to. I'm going to be looking at a few things. I think the easiest and cheapest thing that I could do for now is going to be to get the alternators tucked down there in the corner there, but is to get I think it's an overdrive, not an underdrive, but an overdrive pulley for the alternator, because I think what's going on is the alternator is basically just over revving. It's just spinning itself, spinning it too fast, because it happens basically at the same RPM every time. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of demand and stuff, but I think that the alternator is basically reaching a point of not being able to maintain that voltage. It's just overspinning, over revving, however you want to say it. So I'm thinking that if I put an overdrive pulley on it, it'll slow the alternator down, possibly enough to where I won't drop off voltage so much at higher RPM. The negative side effect would be that it would be probably less charging capability at idle, say like in stop and go traffic. But I think with this thing, idles normally around 900 to 1,000. I think I might be okay with that, but I think that's going to be a good step to at least try. I think the pulleys are 20, 30 bucks. So I'm gonna start with that and go from there, and see what that does. The next step after that, I think, is going to be to look at they call it like the Kenny Bell Boost a Pump, or MSD has a box that you can use that will let you basically calibrate or program the battery voltage to the pump. I think it's like a pump booster or something like that. So I'm going to look at some of that stuff, but I mean, I wish y'all could feel this thing. This thing is riding. I mean, you can see right there, I just clicked on that right there. I think that was, let's see, I did this pull. This was second gear on the anti-lag, two-step anti-lag, whatever one you call it. But that was rolling anti-lag, 4,000 on the two-step, and then I released it. So second, third, and fourth. And you can see right here, I mean, that's 23 pounds of boost. Don't look at the AFR though. Let's not look at that. So, but it just, it gets worse as it goes up in the RPMs. So it's doing its best to dump fuel into it. Look at the duty cycle. So I know this is not ideal. Like, I get it. It sucks. I'm doing my best to fix it. I'm not out racing it right now because of this, but I'm doing some test pulls right by the house, just testing it, just to see what everything's doing. Every time I try something, just going out, testing it, doing a log. But anyway, so I will keep you guys posted, but that's it for this video, and catch you guys later.